Welcome back to the Clay Kane Show on Sirius XM Urban View, Channel 126, where talking powers that becomes action. All right, yesterday was National Coffee Day, and I wasn't in on these airways live yesterday, but I do want to bring on somebody who's doing some amazing work. She is a Black business owner, and I know a lot of folks love their coffee out there. I think it's important to support all types of Black-owned businesses. She is the owner of PJ's Coffee in Dallas, Brittany Willis. What's up, Brittany?
Hey, good morning. I'm sipping my cup right now.
Yo, so tell us a little bit about the opening of PJ's Coffee location during the pandemic and how you managed to keep the business afloat during this time.
Ooh, no, a loaded question. I love it. I think I'd be remiss by saying that. I mean, I'm a spiritual woman and God has had his hand on me the entire time. What I can say is that when you enter into business for yourself, my recommendation to clients and just listeners abound is make sure you do your research. Make sure you really understand not only the product that you're selling, but the industry and the competitive landscape as well. For me, even before the pandemic and in my decision to continue despite the pandemic, it was rooted in the fact that I understood the coffee industry. It was an industry that had weathered a myriad of macro events ranging from war, and the list goes on. And it's also the number 2 traded commodity in the world, and Americans drink more than 3 cups a day. So even though, this isn't foolproof, but even though I was facing a pandemic and, the threat of closing my doors right in the face, I was very confident because I had done that research and I understood the formidable product that I was looking to sell.
So how did you get involved in the coffee industry? And to be frank, what is it like being a Black woman in the coffee industry?
Yeah. So the way I got involved actually a couple of ways. It started just being a consumer, right? So PJ's Coffee of New Orleans is actually a little bit of a love story. I've been a PJ's Coffee consumer for more than 20 years, which is crazy to say. I'm in my 30s. But, there was one by my school. It was a very popular brand in New Orleans. And so when I decided to make my entrance into small business ownership as a franchise owner, I was like, oh, of course, PJ's Coffee. It was a brand of coffee that I knew. It was a quality that I knew. And being in Dallas, Texas, there are so many Louisiana and New Orleans transplants here. I knew that it was going to have an edge by way of being a new brand entrance. So that's the piece there. And I think that, within just, the coffee industry as a whole, again, I think I'll say being a Black female owner in the coffee industry, it can be lonely. I started out, I'm really big into community. So when I was launching, I was really big into finding other Black coffee entrepreneurs, whether they were roasters, owners of their own brands, own stores. And that community just gave me so much support and so much love and so much life. But I'll be very honest. When I first opened, Clay, there were times where people, would not believe I was the owner, and I wasn't walking around saying I was, by the way, but they would say, oh, are you the manager? And I would say, oh, no, I'm the owner. How can I help you? Like, you own this? Or I've had people say, oh, when did the corporate team send you up here? And I said, never. I opened this. Okay. And it's very interesting. And I think what I'll say is, there's certain cohorts of demographics who assume I'm the manager, and there's certain cohorts who look like me, by the way, who will assume I'm the owner. So it's been a very interesting experience in that regard as well. And definitely just an extension, right, of some of the dynamics we see in America as a whole. But I enjoy being a representation of what's possible and kind of breaking down those barriers. Yes, a Black female millennial, does own this. And I hope that becomes more normalized.
Now, there were other coffee franchises you really could have chose from. Why did you decide to create the partnership with PJ's Coffee?
Yeah. And again, going back to, it was a product that I knew. So I've had coffee all over the world, Clay. I've had coffee in Ethiopia, the birthplace of coffee. I used to travel a lot to Seattle, when I worked on an Amazon account for my previous employer, which is also known for great coffee. And so, I have a pretty good palate for coffee. I'm also Specialty Coffee Association certified, which means that, it's kind of like akin to a wine sommelier, if you will, just a bit. So I knew the quality that we had, and that's really what it came down to. Yes, there are several other brands out there. I won't list their names out of respect, but there's several other brands out there. And for me, it was knowing the quality that we have, and we have small batch roasted beans. That means that we're not overcooking our beans to have that burnt taste. There is quality from the point of roasting that really plays the role and having a quality cup. Going a step further, this is a franchisor that gives its owners a lot of autonomy. This store is mine. I created the layout. I've created the vibe, and they want it to have that local feel. And for me, I was looking to not only, own it, but own it and have that autonomy. That was very important.
Wow, I did not know that coffee began in Ethiopia.
Hmm.
I had
The
no
motherland
idea.
of many things. Yeah, sure did.
Oh, you done taught me a little bit of history on this day. I had no clue. Coffee.
Yeah, yeah,
That's really good to know. I
yeah.
foolishly I thought it was Seattle. So obviously,
Oh
that wasn't the case.
no, no. I'll tell you, it's a very short story. There was a goat herder or a shepherd, I believe, or a goat herder who essentially he noticed that his goats were just acting up, right? They were really, really energized when they were eating from a particular plant. And the rest is history. They realized that that plant, the coffee bean actually starts as a plant and it's a seed. So yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, it was founded in Ethiopia.
That's amazing. So you're a native of New Orleans, and you had to
I am.
relocate to Dallas Fort Worth after Hurricane
Yeah.
Katrina. Tell us how that experience shaped you into the person and the entrepreneur you are today.
Yeah, no, I think I believe that resilience is a muscle that you flex. It's just by showing up every day, being brave enough to go through what's uncomfortable, right? And so that was a devastating time in my life. Our home was okay, but we were still uprooted. My school was flooded. My mother's businesses were flooded. I mean, it was pretty traumatic, and I think that I was a senior in high school at the time. Obviously undergoing a major transition with going to college. And I think that it really just showed me how resilient I am. And I was at a very young age. And it also showed me the strength of leaning on your family and leaning on community, as I mentioned. We wouldn't have made it through that, not only with amongst my family, but amongst those close to me if it was not for each other. I mean, there was a stranger who allowed us to stay in his home, for a night. It was actually, he was the principal of my sister's school. Like there was just so much community and support around that. And when I think about the success that I have seen as an entrepreneur, extending from resilience and bravery, if you will, because it takes that. Again, we're nothing without community. I mean, the fact that I have had so many Black women come to my counter, come to my drive-through and say, "Sis, I see you." Say,
Mm.
"Queen, we needed this." That said, "I passed 2 Starbucks to come to you." And so, I don't have the words to say thank you to the way that not only the community, people of all hues and creeds, but Black women and Black people have intentionally supported this location. I would absolutely be nothing without them.
I love that. I love that. So how can people support PJ's Coffee in Dallas?
Yes, so my location, so I'm PJ's Coffee, North Dallas. I'm located on Midway Road near the Galleria Mall. Most people know where the Galleria is. So you can support us in a myriad of ways. I think the first, just from an enterprise perspective, is hey, come on in. We have a drive-through, we have lobby, there's mobile ordering, and if you don't want to do any of those, there's Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and beyond. So there's that. Um, I'm really big in our community. I get sponsorship requests all the time, and I do my best to never say no. And so, it can absolutely help if anybody, you think about, school events, schools that might be underfunded, they're often looking to still give their students a great experience. Maybe it's for Halloween, maybe it's for something else. So, if anybody is ever interested in giving back to the community, I think, a creative way is to partner with us to support a school, to support, like I said, a Halloween bash, a Christmas party. The list goes on and on. And, we're available, on Instagram. The list goes on to reach out to us for initiatives like that.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on in honor of National Coffee Day, which was yesterday. But I want to thank you.
Yes.
I think it's important to support all of our businesses, all of our Black-owned businesses. Once again,
Thank
Brittany
you.
Willis, owner of PJ's Coffee in North Dallas. Brittany, you have a good day. Be safe, all right?
All right. You too, sir. Thank you.
All right, Clay Kane Show, head into a break. Be right back.